Not again! You're part of a team ministering to a large group of kids, and you can hear the soft murmur of inattention starting to ripple through the crowd. You know it's only a matter of time before you lose control. So, what do? In 1 Corinthians 14:40, Paul encourages us to let all things be done decently and in order. That sounds good, but was Paul ever involved in kids ministry? I mean, has he seen how crazy it can be? Often it can seem like all things are done indecently and out of order when it comes to wrangling kids. It can be a madhouse. But earlier in that same passage, we're told that God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. So if we want to exhibit God's nature when it comes to working with kids, it's important for us to keep things peaceful and avoid letting the situation devolve into confusion. One of the biggest challenges in keeping a peaceful atmosphere is keeping the group's interest. Sometimes it's like herding cats. And while there are a few different factors at play, like great lesson planning and dynamic presentation, today we're going to talk about some of the best tips and tricks to capture and keep a child's attention. Our first attention tool is the attention grabber. An attention grabber is like a fire alarm. Its purpose is to get the student's attention so you can tell them something important. And one of the best starts with the phrase, "If you can hear me." This simple technique is so powerful because no instructions are needed at the beginning. Think about that. The teacher simply stands in front of a group and says, "If you can hear me," and then gives a command. So, if you can hear me, touch your head. If you can hear me, touch your toes. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. And as the group gets quieter, the teacher gets quieter until he's speaking at a normal level, or for fun, just a whisper. It's amazing to watch an energetic group of 70 kids get down to near silence in just a few seconds. Now, once you have their attention, it's a good idea to teach them some more attention grabbers that you can use later. Another one is clap a rhythm. This is where the teacher claps out a simple rhythm and the class responds with the same rhythm. The teacher can make the pattern more complex once the kids get the hang of it. A good call and response is eyeballs, click. This is where the teacher calls out eyeballs and the kids reply with click and then lock eyes with the teacher. While practicing this one, kids really love it when the teacher walks all around, forcing them to swivel their heads to maintain eye contact. Another common callback is where the teacher calls 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and the class responds with 1, 2, eyes on you. Having hand motions with this one can help increase involvement. You can also do look at the and then fill the blank in with something in your environment, like the ceiling, the floor, the clock on the wall. But the last one you want them to end with is whatever you want them to focus on next, like you, the next teacher, or an object or picture that you're going to show them. Now, for our younger students, a good attention grabber is waterfall. This is where the teacher calls waterfall and the class responds with shh until their hands are in their lap. Another good one for younger groups is when the teacher tells them to catch a bubble. The teacher can say, catch a bubble and put it in your mouth, and catch another bubble and put it in your lap. And another variation for this is they can catch a butterfly and put it in their lap. Having an attention grabber locked and loaded is vital if a transition between teachers goes wrong, or if kids are all hyped up after a rousing game, or maybe if they're losing interest in what's being taught. A simple attention grabber can be just the thing you need to snap everyone back into focus. But a word of caution, don't use the same attention grabber too often or it can lose its effect. Switch it up a bit. And if you find yourself needing an attention grabber every few minutes during a certain activity, make a note of that. Come back later to evaluate that activity to see if you can make it more dynamic. If you're losing their attention that regularly, it's likely that the content or presentation wasn't working for them, or whatever it was just went too long. When kids are truly engaged, you can tell and feel it. So, you've noticed the kids starting to lose focus and use an attention grabber to reel them back in, and it worked. You've caught their attention. But now what? The key is to keep things moving. You want to move right into your next activity. But if there's no next activity, then it's time to move on to our next attention tool, which is the attention keeper. Attention keepers are kind of like a bouncy house. Parents, you can relate to the genius of a bouncy house. They help us maintain kids by keeping them contained. But in such a fun way that if you do it right, they won't even know that's what's happening. This works best during non-activity times, usually while waiting. Things like technical difficulties or delays, waiting in line, or waiting for the program to start. We have a whole nother video just on great waiting games, but here are a few ideas to get you started. A great example of an attention keeper is a classic game, Simon Says. For those of you who aren't familiar, the person who is Simon gives a command to the group. Those prefaced with the phrase Simon says are to be followed, but all other commands must be ignored. It's fun and engaging, but it also keeps the kids right where you want them. A similar example is a game, Do This, Not That. The children are instructed to mimic any action starting with do this, but to ignore any action with do that. So do this, do this, do this, do that. No, I said do that, don't do that. Another example is do what I say and not what I do, or touch your head. The teacher tells the students to do what she says, and at first her actions and words match. But every now and again, she will do one thing and say another. Any child who did what she did is out. Touch your head, touch your knees, touch your elbows. Those aren't your elbows! During games like these, be sure to have short rounds or immediate consequences for kids who get out. Otherwise, kids sitting for too long will get bored and they might start acting up. So you could say, anyone who makes a mistake has to sit down for 3 rounds and then we'll join in again. Or anyone who makes a mistake has to do 5 jumping jacks and then we'll all start over. Another great way to use any wait time is to review songs or verses together. You can even ask review questions about what they learned this time or last time. In 3 John 1:4, the Apostle John says, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth. In the same way, we have an incredible opportunity and privilege to help the next generation of children walk in truth. But we can't do it unless they're willing to lend us their attention. And while we can't force anyone to listen to us, we can do our best to earn that right by having the most engaging ideas and activities that we can come up with to keep them excited about learning the truth. And when the need arises, which it most certainly will, we can also have some tools in our tool belt to help us recapture their attention in fun and simple ways. So, learn your favorite attention tools, and next time, use them to help guide this upcoming generation deeper into the truth and love of God.